When I say Texas Revolution, what battle do you think of first? Think quick. Go, go, go. Okay, what's your answer? Alrighty. If you're a linear chronological thinker, your answer is probably Gonzales, right? October 1835. Some of y'all immediately thought of the Alamo. Of course, others Goliad, San Jacinto, yep. All of these battles have a common trait. They all took place on land. Today we're going to talk about the answer none of y'all probably gave. The land battles of the Texas Revolution were a series of dramatic events packed into this narrow sort of tuna can time span. And of course, there's a lexicon that made its way out of Texas and into the world. Come and take it. Never surrender, never retreat. Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad. But there was drama on the high seas, too, before any of that happened. A month before the hostilities at Gonzales, the Mexican government sent a revenue cutter, the Correo. I'm not going to trill my R's. To keep the peace after the Anahuac disturbances. Anahuac had been the site of ongoing clashes between Mexican officials and Texas settlers over the collection of customs and the behavior of certain customs officers. Correo was sent on a peacekeeping mission, but its presence had sort of the opposite effect. Now, about the time the Correo was dispatched for the Texas coast, Stephen F. Austin was fresh out of the joint. His return to Texas would turn the tides toward full-blown revolution. Austin entered solitary confinement in Mexico, basically a member of the Peace Party, but emerged convinced that Texas independence was the way to go. Austin, on his way home to Texas, stopped off at New Orleans, and he got into a huddle with prominent Texas merchant Thomas McKinney. There, Austin learned that the Correo, under the command of British-born Thomas Mexico Thompson, was harassing American trading vessels off the coast of Texas. It had just captured the Tremont, an American vessel that was loaded with lumber. Now, Thomas McKinney owned a schooner that he employed moving goods that he bought in New Orleans back to Texas to be sold. He had her fitted out with guns, and she was christened the San Felipe, or San Felipe if that's how you roll. McKinney had tons of money, and he was hawkish about Texas independence. So in late August, he loaded up his schooner with munitions and supplies for what was to become the Texas Revolution. On September 1st, 1835, the San Felipe approached Brazoria with Stephen F. Austin on board. The steamship Laura came up alongside, taking the San Felipe's passengers and most of her cargo up the river. Now, as evening came on, Correo tried to get within gun range of the San Felipe, and she fired. The San Felipe, captained by the swashbuckling and dauntless William Hurd, was all too happy to fire back. So this back and forth cannonade went on for nearly an hour, with Correo getting the worst of it. The smoke had all cleared by about 9 p.m. on September 1st. Thompson took off and Correo and Hurd gave chase. This maritime cat and mouse went on through the night. When the new day broke, San Felipe approached Correo. Thompson, sailing under Mexican colors, was asked for his commission, but he couldn't produce it. One of his gunners had been mortally wounded the day before, and Thompson himself was shot through both thighs, so he surrendered. Correo was taken to New Orleans as a pirate vessel. Stephen F. Austin returned to Texas ready for revolution, and the San Felipe versus Correo fight kind of seems an appropriate welcome. Austin made his way to Brazoria, where he attended a dinner thrown in honor of his release from prison. Two of the toasts given on that occasion celebrated the capture of Correo. One of them foreshadowed the formation of the Texas Navy. A guest toasted Captain Hurd of the San Felipe, saying, "Should a floating force become needful to Texas, may it be commanded by officers equal to him." Captain Thompson was put on trial in New Orleans, a town that was kind of known for its warm relations with Texas. During the trial, Thompson claimed he had been charged with patrolling the waters off Texas for slave ships bringing illicit human cargo from Cuba, but even at his trial, he still couldn't produce those or any orders. Colonel Ugartechia, writing to Austin a month after the incident, admitted himself that Thompson was way over his skis, and the Texans were right to make complaint against him. Ugartechia told Austin that the captain had absolutely no authority to behave as he had. Meanwhile, back at the trial, all hell broke loose. Strong words were exchanged between the two attorneys in the district courtroom.
Did you order the code red?
and unable to keep it legal and professional, the men started chucking books at each other's faces and then inkstands and whatever other movable objects they had within arm's reach.
You can't handle the truth!
So to avoid further bloodshed, the judge ordered both attorneys to sit 6 hours in the clink. He basically put them in timeout so they could think about what they'd done. When all was said and done, 3 months after the incident, the jury acquitted Thompson's lieutenant but couldn't agree on Thompson's fate. So the court ordered a new trial, but eventually the charges were withdrawn and Thompson returned to Mexico. One New Orleans paper noticed how remarkable it was that the lawyers ended up in jail and both pirates went free. So while it lacks a punchy come and take it or victory or death tagline, the fight between the San Felipe and the Correo might rightly be called the first shots of the Texas Revolution. During the 3 months of the Thompson trial, Mexico laid low on the maritime front since Thompson had kind of captured an American trading vessel and Mexico didn't want to irritate the Americans. This left ports along the Texas coast fairly unfettered to receive men and supplies for the brewing revolution. The Goliad campaign of 1835, Centralista attempts to seize cannon at Gonzales and Victoria, the siege of Bear, all of that would follow. By the time 1835 ended, Copano, Goliad, Lepantitlan, and San Patricio were all in the hands of the Texians. So we'll get to the formation and exploits of the actual Texas navies next time, but for now, I'm curious, how many of y'all knew about the cannon fire exchanged on the day Austin got home from a Mexican prison? Let me know down in the comments. Until next time, God in Texas, y'all.